You wake up, and the world is empty. Not destroyed, empty. You check your phone. No notifications, no calls, no texts. You call your mother. It rings until it doesn't. You call your best friend. Same. You call a stranger, any stranger, a number you half remember. Nothing. You walk outside, and the street is exactly as it was yesterday. Every car parked, every door shut, every light still on in the windows. But there's a problem. There's nobody behind any of it. You are now the last person on Earth. You don't believe it at first. Nobody would. So you drive. You drive through your town, then the next one, then onto the highway, with no traffic, no horns, no brake lights stretching to the horizon. You yell into a gas station until your throat hurts. The only answer is your own voice off the coolers. This makes you panic. But you're resourceful, so there's an easy fix. You search. You check houses. Nope, empty. The hospital? Not a soul. The mall? The stadium that holds 70,000 people? Not even close. You stand in the middle of the field, and the silence is so complete it has a weight to it. You make some noise just to feel less alone. Within 48 hours, you've stopped expecting an answer. Okay, you're alone. But your old apartment isn't going to cut it anymore. So you take a mansion. Not rent a mansion. Take it. The biggest one on the hill. It's free. Everything is free now. The equivalent of someone owning the air they breathe. Your conscience logs it as nothing at all. But you still need to eat. The grocery store down the street is fully stocked and silent. Basically, the entire planet is your pantry. So you take what you want. Aisles of food behind doors you prop open. A freezer humming on borrowed power. The shelves restock in your imagination, but never in real life. You can't even finish what's in one store. Easy for now. But a planet that size doesn't run itself. You need power. The lights are on, because the grid is still coasting. Turbines spinning on yesterday's momentum, reactors idling on automatic. Within a month, the first neighborhood goes dark. Now you understand something. Everything around you is running like a machine. But machines need someone to feed them. So you really start exploring because, well, you have the whole world and you're a little numb. You drive a Ferrari until it's empty and leave it in the road. You float a yacht nowhere. You sleep in a different 5-star hotel every night. The penthouse, the rooftop pool still glowing under the water. And nobody warns you about this part. An empty world gives you everything faster than you can want it. And even sitting still in the most luxurious room on Earth, your collection of things grows by anything you can carry. You wake up owning more than when you fell asleep, every morning, without asking anyone. So shelter is handled, food is handled, the cars, the houses, the views, all handled. But you want coffee. Just coffee, from the place you used to go to for years. You break the lock. You find the beans. You figure out the machine after 20 minutes of guessing. When you finally sit down with the cup, every chair in the coffee shop is empty. The chalkboard still lists yesterday's specials. Someone's jacket is still draped over a stool. You drink your coffee. It tastes exactly the same, but everything around it is different. So you stop going there. You don't want to feel it. But there's good you can do with all this freedom. Real good. So you decide to fix things, to keep one city running, to be useful. You work for about half a week because relative to a whole planet, one person fixing one thing is what the world used to do in a single second. You feel proud for about a day, then the scale of it crushes you. It always crushes you. But it's not the emptiness of strangers that gets to you. It's the places you already knew. You drive past constantly, but none of the houses have anyone in them anymore. They belong to teachers, neighbors, the man who ran the corner shop, the girl 2 doors down. Every window wants a face. Every window has your name on a memory instead. The people from before don't disappear all at once. Some you just stop picturing. The ones you still remember sound different in your head, fainter, softer, like they're fading each time you reach for them. You drive to your childhood home and sit in the driveway. It says yes, the way empty houses always do. When you get inside, everything is exactly where it was. The photos, the couch, the smell, the bedroom. You talk out loud to the rooms for 2 straight days. You laugh at jokes only you remember now. And nobody ever pushes back on a single thing. People used to argue with you about everything. Movies, politics, where to eat. That was the whole point of having them. But that loneliness is about to be the least of your worries, because then the breakdown starts. Not one thing, not 2. 17 systems fail in the first 6 months. A water main bursts and floods a street you used to walk. A substation trips and takes a grid down. You have never been there. Most of it you can't fix. The world tells you that. You say the word impossible so often it stops sounding like a word. But each failure costs you a piece of comfort. Each one puts the dark a little closer. Each one requires a generator or a workaround or a retreat or some kind of surrender. The planet tells you to get used to it. When you have the whole world will try to take itself back using every force available. Entropy is a toll, and you are the only one left to pay it. You give up on 3 of the cities, not because you don't care, because keeping them alive costs more than you have left in you. A pump here, a fuse there. They're just small surrenders. But every surrender spreads, and every dark block invites 5 more. Your list of things still working shrinks by the week. You have an entire region going quiet around you. You have never seen most of it fail. The silence sends you reports, mile after mile of places that used to hold people and now hold nothing at all. But daily life goes on, or something that looks like it. And then it happens. You find a sign. Handwriting, on a wall, fresh in a way that catches you off guard. It doesn't mention you once. You find another, and another. 3 weeks in, it starts to feel like something real. Then you notice things. The dates don't line up with where you've been. The marker is dry in a place you visited yesterday. The handwriting changes between one wall and the next. Small things. Things that mean you might have written some of them yourself and forgotten, which of course you did. The mind does. But now there's a question sitting behind every sign you find. Is someone out there, or is it only you? Another survivor, a voice, a hand, a life you'd give anything to touch again. And once that question gets in your head, it stays. You read the walls differently, so you stop looking. Then you find 2 more signs, and then they stop. But the story doesn't end there. 2 weeks later, you find a room someone clearly lived in. Blankets on the floor, cans opened and stacked, a calendar with days crossed off in pen. You didn't make it. The dates aren't yours. Notes left for a person who isn't you. Someone was here, sleeping, counting days, picking up a pen. Now their absence is everywhere. Their cup, their shoes, their crossed-off calendar. The room is sending you a message you can't answer. Some of it feels like a warning. They had a life after everyone else. A private, careful, surviving life. And you miss them by sitting somewhere else entirely. Your mind drafts 100 explanations. Your hope sends a search party of 1 back out the door. None of it puts a person back in the room. You leave a sign of your own, an answer. You check it every day. Nobody responds. But the quiet keeps coming, and the next part is worse. Somewhere in your memory, a version of the old world resurfaces. A morning from years ago that, replayed alone in your head, makes you a different person. It plays on a loop within 48 hours. The you with nobody left now judges who you used to be, based on something in a kitchen 15 years ago. Your survival instinct goes into action. It tells you the same thing it always tells you. Don't dwell. Dwelling makes it worse every time. So you sit in a house behind 7 dark windows and watch your old life replay for what feels like the price of everything. The whole of it. That's what your past is worth to a mind with nothing left to drown it out. You can't call anyone. You can't confront the memory. You can't even confirm it happened the way you remember, because that becomes the only story you have. You just sit there. A bird lands on your windowsill on a Sunday morning. It sounds the same as birds always have. Hops along the ledge, tilts its head, pecks at something only it can see. For 10 minutes your shoulders drop and your jaw unclenches and you almost forget what your life has become. Then it flies off. It didn't come for you. It never would. But there's still a world out there full of things that don't need anyone, and you have more time than some civilizations had, and it's all yours. You had no idea you'd be this hungry for a sound. You feed the birds every afternoon after that. They don't come to say thank you. 3 months later, at a table you set for an anniversary nobody remembers, you sit at the far end alone. You talk to the chairs, the window, anything but the silence. When you try to catch your own eye in the glass, you stare at your plate instead. You leave before you finish, and you don't say goodnight. A week after that night, the wind picks up again. Different tone this time. Quiet. It carries a sound you swear is a voice. That the world has changed. That everything turned when the people left. The wind isn't telling you this to take sides. It's moving because that's what wind does, and you don't know what to do with it. You have a planet you didn't ask for. A silence that won't break, and a world that used to fit around a dinner table and now needs an entire dead city to feel half as full. You tell yourself you'll find them. You don't. What would you even say? You can't unempty the world. You can't undo the quiet. You can't walk into a single house and find someone waiting in the kitchen. The gap between your life and the one you had isn't something you can close with a search. So you stop trying, but the world keeps running. The last grids keep the lights humming. You start to take comfort in the routine of the machines. Then the power fails another district. Something in the grid has been dying quietly for weeks. Nothing sudden, but constant. You found the failure by following a line of dark windows down a street that ran in a perfect row. The pattern matched a specific feeder station on the edge of town. Only 3 substations still carry that load. You narrowed it down in 2 days. It's the one by the river, the old one. It goes dark on a Wednesday morning. The automatic systems handle it. You watch from a second-floor window. The streetlights carry the dark down the block, one by one. They don't flicker. A transformer hums, then quits. Another relay opens. The dark takes the car lot, the depot gate, and then the depot itself closes into night. You stand at the window for a while after it's gone. The street below is empty. The grid reroutes what it can by Friday, but there's always something next. Tuesday afternoon, you take a boat out. The ocean is so blue it looks fake. Sunset turns everything gold. Dinner is something you cooked yourself, from a recipe you half remember. Eaten on a deck a decade of strangers once filled. The table is set for 1. You get back to the house and go to bed early. The master suite is much bigger than your old apartment. You lie there. The ceiling is very white. Somewhere around 3 a.m., you're awake. You get up. The house is dead silent. The theater room empty. 60 seats. The screen is dark. The library empty. You walk the main hallway. The only sound is a faint mechanical hum. A motion light at the end of the corridor flickering on, tracking your movement. You stop. It holds. You take a step. It follows. You go outside. The grass is wet. It's cold under your feet. You walk to the middle of the lawn. The sky is the same sky you used to look at when there were still people. Same stars, same depth, same silence. You used to lie on the roof of your old apartment building and stare at it for hours. The rent was late and you didn't care. The stars haven't moved. Everything underneath them has. You stand on the lawn until the cold gets into your bones, and then you go inside. You go back to bed. After a week driving the coast, you arrive back home. The empty house meets you in the driveway. It asks nothing. Fine, you tell it anyway. Now, back inside. Through the gate, past the guardhouse nobody mans, past the pool you've used 3 times, past the tennis court you've never touched, past the cellar with bottles worth nothing to anyone now. Into the office, where 7 dark windows show your street, your town, your sky, and a clock that's still keeping a time nobody needs. You sit down. Outside, the streetlights do their shift change. New dark replaces the old. The wind rides across the lawn. The whole world is out there. You are the only one who lives in it.